In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about a technology for iOS called MapKit. Now, MapKit is often known as Apple Maps, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how we integrate maps into our iOS applications. So, when we create our class, we have to implement the MK Annotation protocol. And as you can see, our class is a subclass of NS object that implements our MK Annotation protocol. And you must implement three properties: a CL location coordinate 2D, which contains our latitude and longitude, and two NS strings, which store the title and the subtitle that we're going to display on the pin. Now, in this example, I've created a third property because I want to store the review ID, the ID of the database record that's being used, so I can track which pin's being tapped on. And as you can see, all the properties should be read-only. So the only way to set those properties is to create a custom initializer, and that custom initializer is going to have all the values passed to it. So as you can see, my custom initializer is init with review ID, which is my integer of my review ID, the title and the subtitle as NS strings, and the CL location coordinate 2D. Now, the implementation file again is very similar to the custom table view cell. I've synthesized all my properties and I've simply created my custom initializer, and that's all I have to do. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is how we add a UI map view to the application. And this is just like any other view. We simply drag it from the toolbar into the view controller. We use our auto layout to make sure it fills the space we want it to fill. And then obviously we control drag to the header file to create the IB outlet. And as you can see, the outlet is very simple. There's simply an MK map view called Map View. Now, when you use an Apple map, it's very important to understand how this It's very important to understand how this works and the key terminology. Now, every map has 0 or more MK annotation views, which correspond to our class that we created in the previous section. And as you can see, when you tap on the pin, you get this pop-up window, which is the MK annotation view, and it contains the title and the subtitle that we specify. And obviously the location of the pin is determined by the CL location coordinate 2D. And we can also have it so it pops up an accessory indicator, which allows us to tap on the pop-up, and then we can create and launch a segue. Now, the MK Map View Delegate, which we need to implement in our view controller, has two key delegate methods we need to implement. The first one is Map View for annotation, and that controls what we see for our annotation, how it's displayed, the colour of the pin, whether there's a button on the call out, whether we can click on it, and so on. And the second key method is called a Map View Annotation View Call Out Accessory Control Tapped, and that gets called when we tap on the accessory that's part of the annotation view. So it works in a very similar way to the table view cell. So the Map View for annotation method is very simple. It's the same type of method as we use for the table view cell to decide what gets displayed. And if you look at the structure of it, it's incredibly similar. You can see, instead of creating a UI table view cell, we create an MK pin annotation view, and we dequeue these. So as you pan around the map, the annotations get put back into a pool, and when the new pin needs to appear, it recycles the existing annotations, which is how it's possible to pan across the map with hundreds of pins very smoothly. And as you can see, we'll see once we've got an MK pin annotation view, we can set the pin color, the right call out accessory, we can add a button to it, we can animate it appearing on the map, we can display the call out, and at the end of it, we simply return the pin in the same way as we return the UI table view cell. So how do we detect which cell's being clicked on? Well, it's actually very simple. The MK annotation view contains the annotation that's being clicked on, so we can retrieve the exact annotation object that's being clicked. And obviously once we've got that, we can retrieve the review ID we stored inside it. And then when we've finished everything, we perform segue with identifier, but the sender, we pass our annotation object across. Which means when we call prepare for segue, we've got the exact annotation object that's been used. So as you can see, working with Apple Maps and MapKit is very simple and straightforward, and almost everything you've learned about working with table views and table view cells applies to these. So it should be simple and straightforward for you to build maps into your assignment and into your applications.